Hey choombas, if you're tuning into this video, you're probably either A, new to Cyberpunk Red, B, you probably have seen me run games, or C, you may have heard me from elsewhere across the net. Either way, I'm glad you're here. I'm Diamond Dust, I'm a GM, and I have been GMing Cyberpunk Red for about 3 years now. Basically, I have played Cyberpunk since it came out in 2020. Didn't play the Jumpstart kit, but I started with Red originally. And today is kind of an unscripted video. It's very much more me talking about my experiences with this game. Cyberpunk Red has been the tabletop game that, for lack of a better word, helped me fall in love with GMing again. Because I'm a forever GM. I enjoy GMing, but I'm usually the GM. And one thing that I've discovered with Cyberpunk Red is I have a better grasp of the setting of Red. While there is still some disbelief you have to just disconnect yourself with, it's so much more closer to what our world is, and like the way some things, like the way the laws of physics work, the way people interact with each other, to a darker degree. But I have GM'd for probably going on 5, maybe going 6 years now, and I cut my teeth on Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 edition, and also followed up with Pathfinder 1st edition. I did play some 5e, I just found I wasn't a fan of 5e, but the thing that I did enjoy about Cyberpunk is that when you put problems in front of your players, they become very real problems that require very, very fast or else well thought out solutions compared to that of some of the Magic tabletop games, which for simplicity I will refer to them as like the Fantasy D20 games, because that's what both systems, like both sets of systems are, is their Fantasy D20. I have no issue with Fantasy D20. I enjoy a good Fantasy D20 game. But there's something that turns me off to them, and it's high-level magic. And something that Cyberpunk Red does is, sure, you can become a powerful character. You can in Cyberpunk. But it requires more than just killing monsters, getting experience, or getting the milestones. You have to earn the improvement points, and that's whatever the GM decides you've earned that day, and that's totally fine. If people have other opinions on it, like Dice says, every table is different. And for me, I find that when your character grows organically and not just by the numbers, it makes that character feel so much more alive and fleshed out. And also, like, when you build a powerful character, you are putting a lot of your own resources, such as the eddies that should be going to rent and to your lifestyle. You are putting improvement points into skills that you need to become a better shot, or to be able to talk better, smooth over the issues. And you can't just simply, power word, hey, that's a problem, I wish it didn't exist anymore, and then suddenly, boom, it doesn't exist anymore. That's one of my primary gripes between Fantasy D20 and why I prefer Cyberpunk. It's just because when you are presented with a problem, you need to think of solutions, and think of very real solutions, and not just magic it away. Because when you magic every problem away, it gets boring. Just, oh, there's a whole group of enemies coming to beat the shit out of me. Well, I better figure out who I need to take down first, because I've only got 24 rounds of ammunition, versus, oh, fireball. That's just kind of where I sit with it. But one of the other things that I find I really enjoy with Red is the character creation. Compared to Fantasy D20, character creation in Red feels so much more in-depth in some cases. And when I talk about character creation, I am referring to complete package. And for those of you guys who may not have had much experience in Red, complete package is when you detail everything. It does have a point-buy system, but it has a point-buy system that I feel is so much more comfortable for creating a character. But also on top of that, you know, you divvy out your skills and you buy your gear, not so much to define the role that you play. Sure, there is some gear that you may need for a role, such as a netrunner would need a Neuralink and interface plugs and a cyberdeck. Oh, hey hand. The other thing that I do enjoy when it comes to Red is there's also ways to quick create characters. I personally don't use Street Rat or Edge Runner, where that's just you throw dice and that determines your character. Not really my kind of thing. I like to have it very much custom tuned to what I like. Now I can understand that, you know, sometimes custom tuning can cause issues such as people being able to dodge bullets all the time, but hey, if you invest the stats and the improvement points into it, I won't punish you for it. However, you'll have to sometimes get better when some people have better shots than you. And one of the other aspects of Cyberpunk when it comes to character creation is you don't just have like a few things that like this is what you need to be really good. There's a few items where it's just like this is the best recommended item, but you don't need to have this item. And also on top of that, your budget's a little tight up front when you create a character. So you gotta pick and choose. What do you want? What do you not want? And it really gets players to think about what they want starting out. I suppose another thing that Red puts in there that I really do enjoy is the humanity system. The humanity and empathy system in Red, for those of you guys who are wondering, if you've watched Cyberpunk Edge Runners, you have seen what happens when David puts so much cyberware in him. He starts slipping. He becomes colder. He becomes almost like a machine in some sense. We look at this and you have your empathy and your humanity. Your empathy is your ability to relate with other people and how you are able to connect with their feelings, get in their shoes, so to speak. However, at the same time, humanity also determines, you know, how in touch you are with yourself and how much you see yourself as a person and not so much a thing. Because the more cyberware you put into your body, the more your humanity goes down, and your maximum cap also goes down on top of that. And some bigger pieces of cyberware known as Borgware reduce your cap even further. So you'll want to make sure you decide how much do I really want in me, so that way you don't have anybody walking around as basically a giant stomping metal tank. Because as soon as you hit zero empathy and zero humanity, you've gone over the edge, you have no more control of yourself, and you hand the sheet over to the GM. That is for the GM to use now. And also, please forgive my voice, I am just a little bit sick. The characters, when you make them in Red, they start off in a position where, they are living in cargo containers that have been turned into homes, and they have a pretty shitty lifestyle. Like, as in, you eat basically the equivalent of dog food, kibble. And at most, your entertainment for the month, you probably go out to go watch a brain dance or go out to watch a movie once a month. That's about it. You can improve your lifestyle, but you gotta make the money to do that. And, when you improve your lifestyle, you get access to better things. You can afford a cab fare. You could even afford a hotel room and not have to worry about your budget. But that's the really, really expensive lifestyle, of course. And lifestyles are defined by the food you eat. Because, like even in the real world, where, if you have more money, you can afford fresh ingredients. Where, those of us who might not be able to afford as much, I mean, hey, what's ramen for the 5th time this week gonna do? Oh well, it's food in my belly. Over time, though, when your characters grow, your characters will find things that improve their quality of life, and it helps with the organic growth of that character. Where, maybe your character has a really good month and decides, I don't want to eat kibble anymore. Let's switch it up to generic pre-pack. And they're rocking, generic pre-pack for a month or two, and then suddenly, a job goes to shit and they don't get paid. Well, let's hope you have enough for kibble and maybe a cube hotel at most. See if you can survive on that for a month. So it's totally a big part of the game. And Emeron, another creator, go check him out. Highly recommend him. Has talked about how time pressure and financial pressure impact the game, where you have to decide, okay, do I have enough money to make this purchase before I have to do rent and my lifestyle? And also, do I have enough time that I can take a couple days to heal after I got shot up pretty good? Or do I need to get back out there and make more money? Well, that's part of the thing that I really enjoy is you're always going to be kept on your toes. Compared to like other games where, you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. Another thing that I enjoy with Cyberpunk that I think that really makes the game stick out to me so much more is the way death works in this game. And with death is very real and it has very serious consequences on the party. When you are in combat and your hit points hit 0, you start rolling death saves. And how a death save works is they take your body score, which is like the equivalent to your con score, but you take your body score and you have to roll a d10. And you have to roll lower than that body score. However, for each round that you go unstabilized, that d10 becomes a d10 plus 1 for the next round, a d10 plus 2 for the next round, a d10 plus 3 for the following round. And also, if you take some certain critical injuries, your death save just goes up by 1 when you hit 0. So instead of, oh, I have a body of 7, well, I rolled a 7, I'm okay. No, that 7 becomes an 8 because of a critical injury. And if you roll a 10, even if you have cyberware that brings you up to body 12 or body 14, if you roll a 10, it's all over. The lights go out and the curtains fall. And what I really enjoy about that is I had one of these moments recently here in the past couple months where a player did die. And the party had to figure out, okay, where do we go from here now that she is dead? And you see this at tables where a player's death is not the end of the line. It may be the end of their story, but that is the big thing. That is the big spike. That is one of the moments that like the story blows open into a whole different timeline. Maybe things go differently. Maybe your players choose a different path that they need to take. And that right there makes death in this game so much better, because it is permanent, it is serious, and there is no coming back from the dead. Even though, you know, they say, well, but Trauma Team has brought people back from the dead. No, not in Red. You don't come back from the dead. Once you're dead, it's it. And it makes storytelling so much better in this game. When you're not just like a Pop-Tart getting put into a toaster, you're down and then you're back up. The other thing that I've enjoyed with Red, and there's a lot of these different things that I enjoy, but the community in Cyberpunk, like when I talk about the community, I'm talking about all the different communities out there that have gathered around this game. For example, you have, John the Wise, who has, his amazing community. You have, Rob Mulligan and his fantastic community over at Cybernation Uncensored, which I even GM for. And also, you have, of course, our Talsorian's community. Our Talsorian is the group that made Cyberpunk way back in the 80s. And now it's 2023, and we are still going with Cyberpunk Red. It's fantastic. Now, of course, one other thing that I do enjoy when it comes to Cyberpunk. I know, there's so many of these one other things, but this is very much a heartfelt and not scripted video for me. The setting itself provides a different challenge compared to that of 2077, or I'm not sure how it was for the 2020 veterans, but I imagine, you go down to your local Militech showroom and go home with your Militech Bulldog, that nice shotgun of yours, and, get out there and go blast some choombas. Or in, 2077, it's pretty easy to pick up stuff. In Red, most of the shit that you'll find on, your everyday gangsters, it's gonna be poor quality. And if you want something that's worth 500 eddies or more, like a really good quality gun, you're gonna have to go find fixers to find that for you. In the time of the Red, the supply chain is down. You have to rely on nomads and fixers to bring you your stuff. And you have to make sure you have that money for them. And it provides that thing where you can't just conveniently go, oh shit, well, we need a bigger gun. We just need to go down to the store and go buy a bigger gun. That's not how it works. Shotguns, assault rifles, and sniper rifles alone, and as well as grenade and rocket launchers, all of those are going to cost you, and they cost you 500 eds or more. And you need a fixer to go find those things. At most, you're going to go down to your local bodega and you'll probably find maybe a standard quality, very heavy pistol somewhere in the shelves. If you want like a big hand cannon. I suppose one of the other things that I look at when it comes to Cyberpunk is the party doesn't have to be the hero. You are not the hero in Cyberpunk. You are not trying to save the world. You're not trying to, stop some big bad thing from happening, unless you choose that to be your choice. If that is your cup of tea, to go out, take down the big bad corporation and what they're doing, then more power to you. Get out there and go do it. But hopefully you got enough money to pay everyone else to help you. What I really, really enjoy is that, yes, you can do those things, but it's about saving yourself first. So you don't end up on the street. So you don't go hungry. So you don't die. It's literally putting yourself first. And also those that you really care about. You don't have to go out of your way for people. In fact, they don't expect you to. But at the end of the day, decisions you make matter, because you piss someone off, they'll come for you. They'll take you out. They'll, put you, well, the best way to describe it, they're going to turn you into the next count on the body lottery. And, well, when all is said and done, and you don't survive, that's it. There's no coming back. So at the end of the day, when I look at Cyberpunk Red, I understand it is a dark game. It's not for everyone. And it can be really rough, and it can cover topics that can make people uncomfortable. And they encourage you to talk to your players, set up lines and veils, things that we don't talk about, things that we can kind of skim over, but we don't go into too much depth about. And also, you can make it what you want it to be. Literally make it your own. You don't have to use Night City as your setting. Hell, one of the people I care about dearly, a very close partner of mine, uses Rapid City as a place. I use Shanghai as a location. I know other people that have used London, New York, Miami, New Orleans even. I saw a map for New Orleans on the Reddit. And it's all really good stuff. So I recommend, when you approach Cyberpunk Red, approach it with an open mind, and do understand that it's going to be a very, very different game compared to, D&D or Pathfinder or 5th edition or any other games where, death doesn't have as much of a consequence and you become this great and powerful hero. You are now, putting your shoes in the average Joe that is trying to make a living as a cyberpunk. An edge runner, even. So until then, choombas, be safe out there, and I'll even put some links down below talking about where to find these games. I'll link Artal's website in there and a couple of other creators that I recommend that are great resources for Cyberpunk Red. Until then, I'll see y'all around. Bye!